Okay, this is the 2019 2272/2 Humanities SS Geography paper. We're going to be looking at question 1, the GI question for this particular video. So I'll be running through some of the things using this particular sampler here, right? What to look out for, what is important, and then to generally allow you to continue and build on your answers. Please bear in mind that I do not have access to the various stimulus for the question here, so we will be only talking generally about how you can approach all these based on the question paper itself. So if you're going to be a bit more effective with this, you have to take out your tenure series and we run through this together with the tenure series. That should hopefully give you a better idea of how to approach these questions. So the first one, the GI question, context is a group of students, Caribbean islands of Antigua. Right, they want to investigate why this UNESCO heritage site was voted the #1 Caribbean attraction by a US paper. Okay, so they obtained the visitor center data on international tourist arrivals presented to you in table 1. So table 1 shows you percentage change in international tourist arrivals to Antigua from 2009 to 2018. So you can see that there are some years where it's a negative change, right? It has actually fallen. Some years where it's positive, and some very small increases like 2015, 2012. And of course, there are years where you have very big losses in tourism numbers like 2009 and very big increases in 2018. So for the first question here is a rather straightforward and simple one. They want you to use the data in table 1 to complete the bar graph on figure 1. So if you do get a question like this, congratulations, your prayers have been answered. So bear in mind you're actually just finishing up the graph itself. Okay, so not a lot of difficulty in that. I would rather you try to keep to the form of shading or symbols that's given in the components that are complete already and not move on and create your own shading. So in this particular case here, it would be much better if the candidate had actually shaded the bars itself. Okay, so very straightforward, just the 4 bars that are missing, right? Do the measurement, use a ruler and make sure that it's not a histogram, it's bar graph, so there should be bars, there should be spacing in between your bars. The next question is a very, very simple follow-up. Okay, for this particular year, they had similar style of question for both question 1 and question 2. So they asked you to calculate the difference in percentage change tourist arrivals between 2009 and 2018. So you have to take the data from 2009 and look at the data from 2018. And bear in mind that you're looking at percentage points here, percentage change. So you look at the absolute numbers, add the two absolute numbers together, and you will have the percentage change. Okay. Not difficult, right? Really not difficult. So moving on to B, study figure 2, okay, which shows the main visitor attractions in the area here together with photograph A. Right, so refer to your tenure series for the insert and you should be able to see figure 2 as well as photograph A. Okay, so message to visitors leaving the area. So you want to investigate whether visitors went to other sites. So hypothesis, right, to investigate whether visitors go to other sites in the national park, right? So you need to have 2 factors, right? Visitors who visited this national park and then moving on to another site itself. So these 2 factors have a link between them. So either a positive link or a negative link. I would move on to have a positive link given the stimulus and the trend of the data that seems to be pushing for that. So I would give a positive hypothesis right, between the factors. So visitors who visit here would also visit another site or something to that matter of fact. Okay, so very simple. Once again, just 1 mark hypothesis question. Then the second part here is about how you can collect certain data to test the hypothesis that you came up with earlier using figure 2 and photograph A to support your answer. So you need to look at what is available in photograph A as evidence and what is available in figure 2 as potential signs of where you can cite your survey, what kind of data sample size we are possibly looking at, and then at the end of the day you need to decide what is going to be carried out so you can collect this set of data to then test the hypothesis. Okay, so the hypothesis is already fixed by you, your data set, you know what data set you need. you would need to also cover not only the sampling style, location, but more importantly, you also need to give us an example of a test question where you would be using, or a questionnaire, a question in your questionnaire, survey questionnaire, which you will be using to collect this particular set of data. Okay, so it's not difficult, but it's pretty strenuous because there's quite a lot of things that you need to cover. Okay, so once again, how you're going to conduct your data collection, sampling has to be covered, the questioning has to be covered, and it has to be linked to what is available to you in terms of the figure 2 plus the photograph A. Once again here, part C, students carry out investigation during low peak. So they were concerned, but it highlights that they understand that this is low peak. So how do you make it more reliable? The emphasis here is on the word reliable. So yes, you need to talk about how can you eliminate the errors that exist because you are conducting this only in the low peak period, right? How many more times would help you negate this bias? Would you do 3 more times across the year? Would you do 5 more times across the year? Which months of the year would you try to take in? Are there moments within a 24-hour cycle where you would possibly think that you will have better catchment? Right? No need to limit yourself to a very narrow time band. It's okay to have a wider time band because certain attractions are nocturnal attractions, certain attractions are daytime attractions. So it is actually very possible if you were to give me half a day's timing as a lock. So we're going to do this in the daytime. Don't lock yourself to too narrow because then a lot of times you're reducing your reliability because once you're narrowing down into a particular area, a particular topic, and a particular time frame, you're actually streamlining, and that actually invites anomalies to be captured and your data to be unreliable. So keep that in mind, right? Wide open data will be repeatedly collected over a long period of time will yield reliable data. Okay, so that's question 1. I will stop here. So if you would like to attempt question 2, you can join us for question 2.